To our guests, um, you are welcome. Just stay on. We are waiting to form a quorum as a committee. We have to be six. I think now we are five. So as soon as we correct, we'll start with the meeting.
Chair, it's currently 6 members.
Oh, we have 6 members now. Okay. Uh, Let me switch on the video so that you can see that the meeting is not chaired by a robot. Joe Maswanganyi, the chairperson of this committee. Alan, can you flight the agenda? Okay. That is the agenda that we have. To get a public, we are on a public hearing platform on the Special Pensions Amendment Bill, B8 of 2026. So let's first take before apologies, the meeting is officially opened. And let me welcome all members of the committee, Standing Committee on Finance. Welcome all the stakeholders that are in the platform, our guests. Welcome the support team from Parliament. Welcome the media, and everyone who's in the platform is welcome. Do we have apologies?
Yes, Chair, apologies received from Mr. Beasley. He's attending another committee meeting, and then Mr. Likhanyani, who is also attending another committee meeting. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Those are the apologies. Moving to item 2, to our stakeholders who are in the platform, we have invited you to come and make inputs or make submissions orally or in a written form on the Special Pensions Amendment Bill. The Minister of Finance has tabled this bill to Parliament. The Speaker has referred the bill to our committee, that is the Standing Committee on Finance. The purpose of the Special Pensions Amendment Bill, B8 2026, is to amend the Special Pensions Act of 1996 so as to provide for the retention of benefits that have been determined before the lapsing of certain provisions, to allow persons who qualify for more than one benefit to be granted the greater benefit, to provide for the right of a survivor to a survivor's lump sum benefit under certain circumstances, to provide for a funeral benefit in line with the Government Employees Pensions Law 1996, to provide for condonation of applications submitted after the closing date, to provide for reconsideration of the termination by the designated institution under certain circumstances, and to repeal a certain section to substitute and delete certain definitions and to provide for matters connected therewith. That is the object of this bill. So we issued an advert to invite the public to come to this exercise today of a public hearing, which we're doing on the virtual platform. So, in terms of time allocation, Alan, is it 10 minutes?
Yes, Chair, it's 10 minutes each. If I can just ask, I saw someone drawing on the screen now, and everybody just to mute themselves. But yes, Chair, it's 10 minutes. There's 12 presentations, provided everybody pitches. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Yeah. Bring back the agenda on the screen. Okay. There we are. We'll start with MKMVA. It's 14 minutes past now 9. So please time yourself. You are allocated 10 minutes. Before we start, I see somebody raising a hand. NCVL Gauteng, Ruth Lungu.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maswangani. My name is Ruth Lungu from the Gauteng Veterans League. My only concern is on the agenda where it's written MK, MVA, when I thought probably it could be MK. There's a mistake in the typing. It should read MKLWV. Not MKMVA. There's no longer MKVA it was disbanded in 2010. 2012. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that will be corrected, Ma'am Ruth. I see another hand of Pumlan Kubekile.
Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Chair. I think what my colleague has just raised should be ignored, really, because it will take us out of the course, because that is a matter which they know that they have been contesting it, but I mean, MKMVA is recognized, it belongs to the statutory body, that is the South African National Military Veterans Association, which is recognized by the minister, which has just gone to its conference and everything. So, I mean, the business of the day will be clouded once we start to bring issues of that sort. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see how we deal with it in the agenda. So let me get it clear. From the side of MKMVA, you have your own presentation, and then MKLV has got its own presentation. Or there's only one presentation from MKMVA. We want to clarify the agenda right from the beginning so that we move together. And we don't want to leave anyone behind. It's not our intention. Our intention is to make sure that there's maximum participation. If ever there are politics of MKMVA, MKLV, we'll deal with them. We are politicians. Honorable Van Rooyen.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and a very good morning to all in attendance. Chair, I think if we are to be procedural correct, let's be reminded that the committee issued an invitation to the public, and those who responded to the invitation were formally confirmed and they were included in the agenda. And I think that's what should guide this meeting without us having to deal into what are the differences within member associations outside this particular meeting. I think for now, let's stick to the agenda, Chair. That's not our business to bother ourselves with who didn't respond. Let's bother ourselves with those who responded, and according to the rules of Parliament, allow those who responded to make presentation. If any association, irrespective of its name or maybe its dynamics, responded to the invitation of the committee, let it be accorded an opportunity, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Van Rooyen. Okay. Bring back the agenda, Alan. Okay. So these are the stakeholders that we have received who applied for oral presentations. So let's start with MKMVA. Now it's 19 minutes past. So you will be done in the next 10 minutes. If you have got a written submission, it's also allowed that you send written submissions, because now, as you know, that the time for oral presentation is limited. So we allow both oral and written submissions. Over to you, MKMVA.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, I would request that, because I did send my slide. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Phumlani Kubukeli. I am the president of the Mkondo Wesizwe Military Veterans Association, and I appear before this committee in that capacity. I am, of course, also a member of the National Assembly representing MK Party. But here I'm representing Mkondo Wesizwe Military Veterans Association. I'm here to present the submission on the Special Pensions Amendment Bill B8 of 2026 as formally submitted to this committee on the 15th of June 2026. Our purpose is clear. It is to restore the dignity, correct injustice, and honor the sacrifices of liberation fighters and their families. On this second slide, the one that is flighted, we are saying as MKMVA, we contend that the special pension is not welfare. It is a constitutional redress mechanism created because apartheid prevented liberation fighters, detainees, and political prisoners from building careers, pensions, and economic security. Many of our comrades were detained without trial, were imprisoned for years, were in exile, or served full-time in underground structures. They could not contribute to pension funds. This act exists to repair that injustice, we contend. Our submission emphasizes that the bill must be implemented in a manner that honors the spirit of the act, not reduced to narrow administrative literalism, because an act without the spirit becomes a weapon against those it is meant to assist. Can we move to slide 3, please? Slide 3. The purpose of this submission, our submission seeks to ensure that the bill restores the constitutional purpose of redress, recognizes families of the fallen, prevents administrative injustice, protects veterans from losing other pensions, and strengthens oversight through former non-statutory forces structures and former political prisoners and detainees. These principles are listed clearly in our written submission under points 1 to 7. Slide 4, restorative justice principle. The Special Pensions Act, we contend it exists because many cadres were in exile, were in prison, or detained, served underground, or were full-time in the struggle. They could not build pensions like I alluded to. This act repairs that harm. Therefore, special pensions must never be treated as a means-tested welfare grant. They are a constitutional remedy. This is stated explicitly in the introduction of our submission. Slide 5, families of the fallen. Our submission emphasizes that families of those who died in combat, detention, exile, or political violence must benefit fully. We propose automatic recognition of deceased veterans and automatic qualification for their spouses and dependents. This is reflected in Clause 1 and Clause 2 of our submission. The sacrifice of these freedom fighters became the suffering of their families. The law must recognize that. Slide 6. Special pension must not cancel other pensions. That is what we condemn. This is one of the most important of our proposals. We introduced a new clause, which we named 2A, which states that a special pension must not disqualify any other pension. It must not reduce or offset any other benefit. It must not be treated as welfare. This protects veterans from losing GPF, UIF, RAF, military pension, or any other entitlement. This clause is fully included in our written submission. Honorable Chair, I must at this point draw comparisons to the Nazi Holocaust survivors, whose suffering and restoration is forever spoken about, while survivors of apartheid, which was declared by a Geneva Convention as a crime against humanity, are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, with others sleeping under bridges and in shacks. It's a shame. Slide 7, automatic condonation. Our submission calls for automatic condonation of late applications. Why? Because late applications were caused by exile, imprisonment, detention, displacement, destroyed documents, and lack of awareness. We are saying exile because some returned late after the proclamation. These were consequences of apartheid, not negligence. This is reflected in Clause 8 of our submission. Slide 8, proactive reconsideration. We propose that the state must proactively reconsider past rejections. This includes deceased veterans, widows, dependents, and applicants rejected due to missing documents. This is reflected in Clause 12 of our submission. Reconsideration must not depend solely on applicants. The state must take responsibility. Slide 9, oversight panel, Clause 12A, sorry. Our submission introduces a new Clause 12A that establishing a special pensions oversight and advisory panel. That is what we propose. This panel ensures transparency, fairness, historical accuracy, and proper application of the spirit of the Act. It must include representation from MK, APLA, AZANLA, and other former non-statutory forces associations, and former political prisoners and detainees representative bodies. This is fully detailed in Section 3 of our submission. Slide 10, self-defense units and underground units. Our submission clarifies that self-defense units and underground units were established, trained, guided, and operationally directed under the authority of former non-statutory forces, that is MK, APLA, and AZANLA. Therefore, their representations must be exercised through MKMVA and other non-statutory force structures. This is stated explicitly in subsection C or Clause 12A. Thank you. Slide 11. It's the summary of the clauses. This slide summarizes the first set of amendments. Clause 1 deals with automatic recognition of deceased veterans. Clause 2, the strengthening of Section 6A BIS. New Clause 2A, the special pensions must not cancel other pensions. Clause 3, automatic consideration of widows and dependents. All of these appear exactly in the written submission. Slide 12, clause summary. This slide covers clause 4, expanded definition of surviving spouses and dependents. Clauses 5, 6, 7, 10, and 11, replacing of orphan with dependents, because when you speak of orphans, we speak about something else. Those directly, but the dependents, we know we are Africans, most of us, so we know what dependents are, in the extended families. Clause 7, expanded funeral benefits. Yes, these are all included in section 2 of our submission. Slide 13, this slide summarizes clause 8, automatic condonation, 9, appeal board must apply the spirit of the act, clause 12, proactive reconsideration, clause 13, expanded definitions of child and dependent. These are all directly from my written submission. Slide 14, why these amendments matter. These amendments, Honorable Chair, correct historical administrative injustice, protect families of the fallen, prevent veterans from losing other pensions, strengthen oversight, recognizes SDUs, and that is self-defense units and underground units appropriately, and restores the constitutional purpose of redress. This is the essence of the conclusion in section 4 of my submission. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, slide 15, this bill is an opportunity to restore dignity, correct injustice, and honor the sacrifices of liberation fighters. As MKMVA, we respectfully request that the committee adopt these amendments in full. Engosi. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Phumlani Kubeken, on behalf of MKMVA. Alan, back to the screen, the next stakeholder. Foundation of ex-political detainees.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Bizana Ngesi. I'm representing the Foundation of the Ex-Political Detainees. I won't take much of the time since we did submit in writing what we thought was the most important thing that should be covering the ex-political detainees. We appreciate the presentation given by the MK. I think it addresses all the issues that we've been raising as the ex-political detainees. But the issue here, Chair, is that we are starting from a point that most of the ex-political detainees were never even covered by the previous act that was there to cover for the freedom fighters who were supposed to be benefiting. Now here, the issue that we really wanted to address was the issue of the recognition of the ex-political detainees as a sector also within the family of the Liberation War veterans. If you check, the only two sectors are covered, which is women or military veterans. And I don't want to go really to the historical significance of everybody who was involved in the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. Now, that section of the ex-political detainees was the only sector out of everybody who has been covered. And so we feel that as we do this amendment, ex-political detainees must also be recognized and regarded as a sector that contributed. Having said that, Chair, with the 7 minutes left, I'm also with the Secretary of the Foundation here, Mr. Zingile Dingane. As I've said, I'm also the chair of the Foundation of Ex-Political Detainees. So if there are issues that I've left, I'll give over to Mr. Zingile, who's our Secretary of the Foundation, to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I have nothing else to add. I'm covered by what Visitor has presented.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where is did you say you have submitted your written submission? Ngesi, are you still there?
Yes, Chairperson, Dr. Maswanganye, we did submit. I think our journey really with this thing did not only started when you were advertising. We have given submission to a number of stakeholders who are dealing with this matter. Our journey with this thing has started 6 years ago. Now, yourself saying people must submit, we did submit even now, but we did give a detailed submission in terms of what we think needs to happen in terms of the bill. We've been engaging people who are dealing with, your government employee pensions fund. We did give them a detailed submission. Even I think last week, as you were saying, people must give submissions. We did give submission. So ours has been, as I'm saying, a journey starting the last 6 years to say, this is what we think needs to happen. Because if you check, I think there is the submission submitted there, which was also addressing a specific issue. Now, like as I've said, your MKVA submission did cover to a large extent issues that we have raised in the last 6 years in terms of how we think the ex-political detainees must be accommodated in the bill or in the act that is being amended. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Comrade Bizan. Alan, back to the agenda, the next stakeholder. The next stakeholder to present Association of Ex-Political Prisoners. Association of Ex-Political Prisoners, who's presenting?
Yeah.
Alan, who sent the request to present on behalf of the Association of Ex-Political Prisoners? If they are not here or not ready, we'll skip them and come back to them later. Let's check the next stakeholder. The next stakeholder is the ANC Veterans League.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dr. Maswanganye. Good morning to all the participants. I don't know whether they will show my slide or should I show it on my side. I've got it on my side. I don't know whether can you see it? On my side, I've just shown it on my side.
Let me just give you Carl's permission. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
You are welcome, Comrade President Zgalan.
Thank you.
Okay, now
I've given you Carl's permission.
sharing.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Right.
Yes, Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah.
Share.
Is the advocate sharing or should I?
I've given you co-host permission, but let me share from my side.
Yeah,
it
can't
is
you
in-
do so, advocate? And so I must come out.
Yeah, I'll share from my end.
So I must come out. Okay, that's fine then. Yeah. What's happening here? No?
Yeah, we can see the presentation now, President.
Yes, you can. Wait a minute. Yeah, there it is. Can you bring it down a little bit? I can't see the whole wording, the whole presentation, the whole slide.
It shows full screen on my end.
Yeah, it's full screen now. No, not really. Okay, let's remove this.
From our side, it's clear, President.
Okay, just a minute. The young people are helping me here. Okay, then there you are. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, and all the presenters who are here. I'm speaking on behalf of the ANC Veterans League. What we are saying is that sacrifice has no expiration date. Adopting a perfecting and special pensions amendment bill 2026. This is a presentation to Parliamentary Portfolio Committee by the ANC Veterans League. Can you go on then to the next slide? Yeah. This presentation talks about substantive justice over rigid formalism. As you know, that this is a new path back from late applications. It's about equal treatment for all beneficiaries. Of course, it broadened the protection for families. And of course, the ANC Veterans League's recommendation for fairer laws. We are saying that we are urging that the issue of saying that the minister may, it must not be may, but it must regarding benefits and allow late applications for any other valid reasons. In the next slide. Yeah. How the bill fixes the system. You can now apply if you miss previous deadlines due to illness, age, or lack of information. Our recommendations for a stronger law, changing may to must, we urge that funeral benefits and annual increases be made mandatory for optional for all beneficiaries. Protecting existing pension, the bill clarifies that pensions already being paid will continue safely, even if older laws have lapsed. While we're calling for a fairer rules for late applications, the bill should allow late applications for any valid reasons to ensure no deserving person is left out. Better support for families, protection is expanded for survivors and dependents, replacing the restrictive terms like offense with broader categories. There should be clearer administrative rules. The rule of designated institution must be clearly defined to avoid confusion or legal challenges. The next slide. Restoring justice, the Special Pension Amendment Bill 2026 definitely is restoring justice. The promise, the Special Pension Act 1996 was established to honor members of liberation movements and their dependents who contributed to the struggle for a democratic South Africa. The reality, exclusion versus via technicality over time, rigid cut-off dates, lapse sections, and outdated terminology created a system where procedural barriers excluded people fully entitled to benefits. The next slide. Then the context, the Special Pension Act was enacted to honor the sacrifices of those who fought for democracy. Problem, over time, lapsing parts, unequal categorization and strict, inflexible cut-off dates unjustly excluded deserving veterans and their dependents. The solution, the 2026 bill protects existing benefits, expands fairness, and critically introduces flexibility for late applications and appeals, reopening the gates to restorative justice. The next slide. The unintended consequences of 1996 Act, of course, the expired provision, there was unequal treatment, outdated terminology, rigid cut-off dates, different categories, the cut-off dates used for applications, there were closing dates, which did not give those who did not apply to have the opportunity to apply. That was the 1996 Act. The next slide. The 5 pillars of the amendment bill, the 2026 amendment bill, protecting existing benefits, correcting unequal treatment, expanding survivor protections, condoning late applications and appeals, restoring flawed decisions. The next slide. Protection 1 clause confirms that benefits determined before 31st December 26 remain secure despite lapse of Part 1. Benefits pensioners will not lose rights due to expired sections. Clause 2, equality, backdate certain pensions of April 1995 to aligned beneficiaries. If a person qualifies under both 1 and verses 1 and Part 1 AA, they are legally entitled to greater benefits. The next clause. Expanding support for families. Clause 4, survivors lump sum, expands the right of survivors to receive a lump sum where deceased would have qualified. Clause 5, inclusive definitions, remove the restrictive outdated term offense, replacing it with broader inclusive categories of dependents and children. Clause 7, funeral benefits, aligns funeral benefits with the government employees pension law to decent and consistent support. The heart of the amendment, excluding deserving individuals purely on administrative deadlines. People are excluded because there was lack of information about deadlines. They were missing and destroyed documents because of illness and advanced age, remote geography and displacement, and state administrative failures. This made especially our veterans and those who participated actively in the struggle against apartheid not to qualify. The next slide. Lack of information about deadlines. You said the next slide. The next slide. Late clause, late appeals allows for the appeal board to condone the late appeals beyond the strict 60-day window if delays were unavoidable. Justice requires the right to challenge a wrong decision, allows the designated institution to reopen, amend, or withdraw past decisions of material and historical facts were overlooked or records were incomplete at the time. The next slide. The comparison metrics evolution of the Act, the 1996 reality, it was rigid, fixed closing dates, restrictive language of offense, strict 60-day window, final regardless of missing information. The 26th Amendment Bill, which is very progressive, it condones for reasons beyond control, inclusive language, dependence in children, condonable late appeals, reconsiderable of material facts were missed, right? The next slide. The ANC Veterans League support the bill. However, to ensure no qualifying person is left behind, we urge the Portfolio Committee to consider 4 minor adjustments. The current wording in the bill leaves crucial support entirely to ministerial discretion. The minister may. Should be replaced with must, specifically regarding provision of funeral benefits, implementation of annual benefits. That is important. Number 3, rationale, support for veterans' dignity and basic inflationary survival should be a statutory guarantee, not an optional decision. The next slide. 1 but 2 slide left. Condonation of administrative authority. The current bill allows condonation only for reasons beyond control. ANC mandate expand wording to include for any other valid reasons. Why? Makes the process more humane and flexible, catching edge cases of genuine hardships that strict legal definitions might miss. The bill still has references the old board, despite structures shifting to a designated institution in practice. The ANC Veterans League mandate clean up all outdated references to clearly define the designated institution's role to prevent confusion and inevitable constitutional challenges. Note that the ANC Veterans League ultimately prefers retaining the structure of the board. The next slide. We support the adoption of the bill without any further delays. This legislation represents a massive step forward for fairness, humanity, and constitutional purposes. For many former freedom fighters, dependents, and survivors, this is the difference between permanent exclusion and long overdue recognition. We urge the committee to accommodate the ANC Veterans League recommendations to perfect this bill and to exercise diligent oversight to ensure its immediate implementation. For aging veterans, substantive justice cannot wait. The next slide. We can skip this one, go to the last one. We urge the portfolio committee to accommodate our concerns and exercise diligent oversight to ensure speedy implementation once enacted. We say refine, adopt, and implement. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, President, for the presentation on behalf of the Veterans League. Let me also persuade stakeholders who are in the platform not to fight the battles of their organizations over our chat platform here. We are not here to entertain battles as to who's legitimate and who's not legitimate. Please, this is a parliamentary platform. We are here to make presentations on behalf of organizations or on behalf of ourselves. We do allow individuals to come and make presentations. So I will persuade our stakeholders on the platform to cease from writing what they are writing on the platform here. It's not in our interest as Parliament. Let's make presentations orally and in a written form. Alan, let's go to the next stakeholder. Back to the agenda. The next person is Nomakala Qelima. Yeah, there you are. We can see your slide. So please proceed. 10 minutes. Can you hear us, Nomakala Qelima?
Okay, that was me sharing. I'm just checking on the platform if there she is. Let me reshare.
Okay. If not here yet or struggling.
I think she is on the platform, but she's mute, Chair.
Sister Nomakala Qelima, can you unmute? We can see your presentation here. Can you hear us?
Okay, hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, it's fine. Okay. Good morning. I'm Nomakala Qelima. So submission of special pension amendment bill, public hearing 24 June 2026, presentation by Nomakala Qelima. Next slide. My suggestion on amendments. I'm currently receiving 3,400 per month from the special pension. I'm grateful for this support, but due to the rising cost of living, I kindly request that the amount be increased slightly to be beneficiaries, to help beneficiaries meet their daily needs and household expenses. I also request that the process of verifying military veterans and updating the military veterans database speed up so that those who qualify can receive their benefits without delays. Provides a medical aid allowance for spouses and dependents. Next slide. Help qualified dependents with employment opportunities. Keep and strengthen the funeral benefits. Assist beneficiaries with housing support, either by helping to complete unfinished houses or by funding approved quotations for building materials and labor. Thank you for your time. It's all about I can say now.
Okay, thank you, Sister Nomakala Ledima, for your presentation. Thanks very much. The next stakeholder. ANC Mirafong Sub-Region. ANC Mirafong Sub-Region, are you there?
I don't think they're on the platform, Chair.
They are not in the platform. Okay. We'll have to move to the next item. Is it the questions on the first set of presentations? Back to the agenda. Okay. There is a stakeholder that we skipped. Alan, which one? Was it the Association of Ex-Political Prisoners?
Yes, Chair, that was the third one. I'm still trying to follow up. So maybe after questions and answers of the first group, I would have had contact with the person.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next item. If the association and the ANC Mirafong come, we'll give them the platform. But for now, let me invite members of the committee to ask questions for clarity from the submissions made so far. Members of the committee. Honorable Van Rooyen, over to you.
Thank you once more, Chairperson. Let me start by welcoming a presentation from various stakeholders. And I think my first clarity-seeking question is on the expanded definition of a dependent. What does that mean? Because if it's not defined, it might give some challenges coming to implementation and, of course, ultimately our oversight role as public representatives. So maybe if we can get more clarity on what is this definition, because it shouldn't be taken for granted that as Africans we understand what do we mean by saying we are dealing with the expanded definition of a dependent. I'm asking this question specifically because some of our constituents who lost their children in exile, I'm referring to the parents of those who perish in exile, feel that they are left out of this process. Here, I'm not referring to the kids of the deceased. No. I'm referring to a situation where someone left and left the parents behind and went to exile and died in exile without even having what you can term an immediate family or dependents besides his or her parents. So that's why I'm saying defining this version or an expanded version of a dependent will help us from legislation making point of view, but also it will help us to ensure that expectations or maybe implementation is appropriately adhered to. Secondly, in our engagement with National Treasury, it's our take as MK Party, currently the official opposition in Parliament, that such provision should be exempted from tax. Special pension should be exempted from taxation. I will appreciate if I hear the view of those who have presented on this matter, because to us, this is not necessarily, as indicated by most of the presenter, this is not a welfare type of a provision. This is a special dispensation of pension. So it's our submission into National Treasury that this should be exempted from taxation. I will appreciate to hear the views of presenters on this matter. And lastly, the other challenge encountered by our constituents, more especially those who went to exile when the clarion call was made about rendering the apartheid regime under border ungovernable. The so-called generation of young lions. They had an issue about the provision, age provision in the act. Even the muted Amendment Act is still not addressing that particular concern, because they felt that they went to exile young, and all of a sudden they are told of age restriction for them to qualify for this provision. I think it will be good for us as a committee to hear the take of presenters around this matter, because of course we know what is the view of National Treasury on the matter, but it will be important for us as a committee to hear the view of stakeholders on this particular matter. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Van Rooyen. Honorable Mazibuko, and then Honorable Squad.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you very much to all the presenters who have presented. My understanding, or as a form of comment, Chair, is that all the presenters are saying the same thing, maybe in different ways. They are supporting the Special Pensions Amendment Bill, and they are advocating for the implementation and the inclusion and the proper process. So irrespective of their political affiliation, I think they are saying the same thing. And my concern, Chair, is that this process has been going on, as one presenter has indicated, for 6 years. So I think it will be proper to do a depth analysis to say what were the hindrances from the implementation, what were the problems, so that those problems are teased out and they get a special attention as we advocate for the swift implementation once the bill is enacted. And how do the presenters, Chair, suggest that the interventions to combat fraud, because the process like this, it is easy for it to be subjected to fraud, people who do not qualify, which then compromise the integrity of the process, and also compromise the people who really fought for this country to be where it is, and they are deserving recipients and dependents. So how should I heard there was a suggestion of a panel that needs to be formulated, but we have been having panels and still the process be subjected to fraud. There are people who, I mean, we live in this country, we know how easy it is to fraud and make the process lose its integrity. So my question is, how do they suggest fraudulent activities to be combated? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Mazuko. Honorable Squati.
Thanks, Chair. I just don't want to say Kelakaliu because my question is actually related to what Honorable Mazuko has just asked. And let me as well, Chair, join my colleagues in welcoming the submissions. And mine was on all the presenters, Chair, because they are actually more in organized formations, except for Me Nomakala, the Veterans League, the MKVW. And I wanted to understand in terms of their own role in terms of getting rid of these undesirable elements that would be benefiting from the special pensions funds. Because more often we find people that have not necessarily contributed, but they find themselves a way into, or worm their way into this kind of benefits, just because, you know, the process itself might not be able to eliminate, but the formations themselves, they know themselves, and they are able to identify those undesirable elements and be able to make sure that they don't benefit. Because this is one of the areas where sometimes the numbers grow. You don't get to understand how the numbers are actually growing. But equally to say that because it's not like the country has got the unlimited, resources. So the more we get undesirable elements into these benefits, the more the state then, struggles to actually satisfy the role that it has to play in benefiting those that have actually contributed. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Squati. Those are the questions from members. Honorable Mazebuga, you want to come back?
No, thank you, Chair. I had written something on a lighter note to say now the MK party has presented. Will they now be accepting this bill? Because Honorable Van Roy and the MKP has been rejecting all the bills that are submitted in the House. So I hope this one will not be rejected. Thank you.
Okay. No, we'll deal with that when we process the bill ourselves as the committee on the last day of adopting the report. Okay, in the order of presentations, let's go back to, I think, Honorable Van Rijn, the two issues that you raise should be between us as the committee and National Treasury and SARS on the issue of the definition of the dependent. Of course, I will allow stakeholders to raise that. And the same issue of tax exemption is what we have to look at as we process the bill. But be that as it may, let me invite stakeholders to respond. Let's start with MKMVA.
Thank you again, Honorable Chair. On the matter of the tax exemption, yes, we fully agree with that because many military veterans or receivers of the special pension have been complaining about the tax, deductions from the very special pension that they are receiving. So now it ceases to become a redress mechanism, when a portion of it, is taken back by the state. And then on the matter of the age restriction, yes, because apartheid did not discriminate by age when it denied cadres the opportunity to build pensions, many were recruited as teenagers, many served into adulthood, and many died young. So redress must therefore apply to all who sacrificed, regardless of age. Age limits would arbitrarily exclude those who suffered the same historical injustice we condemned. Then on the matter of the dependent, the definition of the dependent, it must be inclusive and historically accurate. A dependent, according to us, is any person who relied on the veteran for financial support, including spouses, customary partners, long-term partners, children born in or out of wedlock, adopted children, and customary or extended family members. This must include dependents of cadres who died in combat, detention, exile, or political violence. No family should be excluded because of the circumstances of the struggle. So we condemn that all these three are essential to restoring the dignity of those who sacrifice. On the matter of fraud, I think this is a challenge also when it comes to the Department of Military Veterans itself, although it does have a panel of late, but there are still some contentions, some took it to court, because as we have proposed that there has to be, some sort of panel, because when you do something without the people who are supposed to benefit from it, it becomes a flawed process. But because these people, for instance, if we talk about detention and imprisonment, there was Robben Island, Mthatha prison, KC, and all the other prisons. So those people who were in those prisons or who were detained know the other people that were there in those prisons. So I contend that we should really include them, have a panel of them, more especially that they have all the structures. That is, if, for instance, all the recognized structures, or the constituted structures, they must be included in a panel that will at least limit the fraud. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kubukeli. Foundation of Ex-Political Detainees, Comrade Bizana.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll just want to raise two issues. I think we all agree here that the process that we have started is to say what are the issues that are outstanding. And I'm sure we all believe we are not going to exhaust them on this platform. Now, the issue of all interested stakeholders, maybe at some point we'll need to have a platform where people can go into details. The most important issue, Chair, that we must still also address is the issue of who are the Liberation War veterans? Because it becomes an issue that seeks at some point to divide everybody. Like if you check historically, the whole issue of special pension has only been limited to people who have been in one pillar, which is the armed action, and other people who have also been there. Nothing has been said about them. So we still need also to unpack the whole issue of the Liberation War veterans. Linked to that, Chair, a lot of other people have been left out because of the issue of the age, which I thought by now we have all agreed that it can be on the basis of the, because most of the people who have been really involved and in the forefront, they've been at a very, very young age. I mean, you've got people who are also our members, who were at the age of 11, 12, when they started also getting detained. So those are the issues that we must start looking at them. So the issue of people saying it cannot just be to say they are liberation veterans because they are 60 or 80 or 90. There are also other people who got involved at a very, very young age. So the issue of age also is an important issue that must still be looked at. The issue that has been raised of people who are also trying to take an advantage. I think the last speaker, if I'm not mistaken, tried to address it to say, if you take people who've been to prisons, I mean, those records are still there. So it also addresses the whole issue of other people who always try to take advantage of saying they are Liberation War veterans or they've been there. The Department of Correctional Services comes in handy to say, where are the records, who were in these prisons and so forth, which will also go a long way to start addressing the issue of who were in whatever prisons and who were in other police. Some of the people spend even years in police stations. So those police stations will also come in handy to say, these are the people who were there. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Bizana. President Sikalala, Veterans League.
Yeah, good morning again, everybody. I think I really agree with Comrade Bizana that documents are there. For those who are detained, documents are there. They'll know who has been detained and for how long. And for those who are in imprisonment, documents are there. Correctional services will be able to provide. And then also, it's important that we should tighten the question of investigation of if a person comes and say, I was detained on such a date. And then from there should be investigation to find out exactly, is it true that happened? And secondly, in terms of fraud, especially, the Treasury must have a system where it can be able to check whether the person who is applying for this special pension is not fraudulent. And so that we have to tighten it up very, very tight, because some people are benefiting currently and they never participated in the struggle at all, some that I know. But I'm just surprised that they are benefiting from special pension. Some of them were students and they did nothing. They did not even raise a word or anything at school. And so, and they got scholarships, they left and they participated, lived their lives. When they came back, they said, no, I participate in the struggle. But you know, he has never even said it, done anything, even protesting, like when the marches in Europe, anti-apartheid movement, even participating in those marches. But no, never did anything. They're very comfortable enjoying their lives. And so what we are saying as veterans is that there should be a tight control, very strict tight control. And those who are doing it, who are getting chochos, they must know that they'll go to jail. It must be made very clear that we'll just lock them up. And so I think those issues must be dealt with in terms of fraud and in terms of definition of dependence. I think there should be a researcher who will be able to say who qualifies, who does not qualify. They look at the age itself. How old is this person before 1990? And so people who can come after 1994 and say they were in the struggle, it's not true. And so that's a age restriction that we're talking about. But in terms of psychological psychological issues, a lot of people have been traumatized, to be honest with you. And so they must be attended to. They were traumatized. I can tell you on Saturday, we took some of our veterans to go and watch a play at Market Theatre on the June 16. uprisings. Some of them cried there and said to us as veterans, why did you bring us here to come and cry? We know exactly what happened. We said, no, we wanted to remind you where we come from so that we can be able to defend this country and make that our democracy is taken seriously and we protect the democracy that we have. And so I think that's all that we can say as veterans. In terms of corruption, in terms of those who register illegitimately, they must be dealt with. We should not compromise on that. Thanks. Pensions board. On the pensions board, that's why we wanted the pension board instead of leaving it to the will of the ministers. Some ministers, which I know, I worked with, they didn't care when they were there in power. They didn't care. We raised those issues. And no, they didn't care at all. And so if the board is there, the board can say, no, this person qualifies. This is what needs to be done. Because we don't know what will happen. You know how people are. Some of them were our comrades, comrade ministers, but they never cared a thing about our people. And so it's important that we should have that board. And parties must hold their ministers accountable in all levels of government. That's what we are proposing as veterans. Thanks. Thanks, Comrade Chair, Dr. Mangani. Thanks.
Thanks, President.
Masangwani, sorry. Okay.
Sister Nomatala Tedima. Are you still there? Okay. We'll have to proceed. Alan, have we been joined by the Association of Ex-Political Prisoners and ANC Mirafom before we proceed to the next item?
Chair, the representative of AEPD is online, Vincent. The other one, ANC Mirafong, I have not seen online, Chair.
Okay. I think we're done with questions for the first round.
Chairperson, my hand is up. I'm a member of the Veterans League. My name is Baby Kyawa.
Oh, do you want to respond to a question?
Yes, indeed, Chair. Thank you so much for allowing me. I did double check with my President Galana. The point that's not answered is the gap analysis raised by a committee member. I do want to bring to the attention of the committee that there was a research that was commissioned by the DMV, Department of Military Veterans. 2023, extensive research that was done, which looked at the gap analysis. It looked at the benefits, the process to which the veterans of all kinds are accessing those benefits, the ones that they are not aware of, and the report does also give recommendations. I presume that copy would have gone to National Treasury, but it was commissioned by the department then in 2023. My recommendation is that the Standing Committee should look at that report again and look at how things can actually be accessed and some of the things that partly are addressed in the Amendment Act. However, they can sit in the provisions or assist to expand the provisions that have to be accessed by veterans. Thank you very much, Chair.
Or you have days where you work from home?
Yeah. Thanks very much. Association of Ex-Political Prisoners, are you there? Alan, have they disappeared?
It shows that he is online, Chair. It's Vincent Macau. I've clicked on the unmute button, so I'm not sure if he's got challenges.
Association.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you.
Oh, yes, it's Temikosi Ngobo. I'm the treasurer of the Association of Ex-Political Prisoners. The one point that I would like to raise, we have comrades that were not able to apply until the due date of the application of the ex-political closure of for the applications of for the special pensions because of various reasons. In fact, some of them I'm based in KZN, so they had to run away during violence. So they didn't apply. So they are not benefiting from the special pension. I don't know if it could be considered that for those that did not get the opportunity to apply, they be included in the or the applications be opened maybe for a certain period. That's my request, our request. Thank you.
Okay, are you done? You have got 10 minutes to present Association of Ex-Political Prisoners. I hear you emphasizing one issue, but if that was the core of what you wanted to raise, we are fine. But I wanted to indicate that you have got 10 minutes to make a presentation.
Well, the other issue is the amount. The amount of 5,000 is too little to cover the expenses, especially because the guys are already old. The comrades are very old. I don't know if that be reconsidered, at least a minimum of 10,000 rand going forward. That would be all from my side.
Okay, thanks, Association of Political Prisoners. We do have your submission. Let's go back to the agenda.
Chair. Chairperson, may I ask to talk, if it's possible?
On behalf of who?
Chair, I'm a member of the military veterans, and I'm concerned that the committee has brushed off the raised point by Member Van Rooyen in terms of the parents of the people that died in exile. That is my concern, Chair. If the committee can discuss that without me, but I'm raising a concern.
Okay. What we are doing today, we are receiving submissions from the public. So we are taking your submissions, be it oral or in a written form. After this, as the committee, we are going to discuss your submissions, compile a report, consider it, adopt it, and then take it to the National Assembly for debate and adoption. So we are going to discuss all the issues that are being raised here in the submissions. So that's how this, the bill is processed.
Thank you, Chair. As long as you say that issue will be discussed, because we have done reburying of people that died in exile, and their parents are living in abject poverty, because it is said that those that died did not have children and wives. But these people left parents whom, by expectation of our traditional African life, is that a son or a daughter will look after the parents. And therefore, if my son dies at a young age, am I told that as a parent, I cannot benefit, or I cannot have expected my son to take care of me? That is my concern, Chair. And I will leave it to the committee to engage going forward, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you have made a submission, Tate Ramatebane,
Ramatba.
in that regard for the committee to consider.
Chair, I appreciate it. We raised it in the meetings of our committees that make submissions. But one has to accept that if it is not raised and it is raised by another person, I therefore would wish that to be taken as a matter of agency, because I am saying parents are in abject poverty right now.
No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's move to the next set of stakeholders. We have Mawig. We have got 10 minutes. Mawiga, are you there?
Yes, I am there, Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Just want also to acknowledge the presence of our President and the leadership of the Veterans League that is here, including the Standing Committee on Finance and all stakeholders and participants that are here. I am Florence Mkonto, and I am going to talk on behalf of Mawiga ANC Veterans League. Can you please move? Okay. Number one, in the introduction, we are the Mawiga ANC Veterans League, constituted by Mabopane, Winterfeld, and Karankua. We welcome the Special Pensions Amendment Bill 2026. The amendments address practical problems faced by veterans and their families on a daily basis. We fully support clauses 1 to 14 as espoused in the bill, and also the ANC resolutions that I will talk to. I know at the beginning, Chairperson, you explained the purpose of the bill, but I just want also to go through it to make emphasis. The Special Pensions Act 1996, Act number 69 of 1996, amongst other things, makes provision for the payment of special pension to persons who made sacrifices or served the public interest in the establishment of the constitutional dispensation. In the implementation of the Act, there were misalignments, and the misalignments are the ones that disadvantage the veterans and the beneficiaries from getting the benefits for the longest time. Hence, the purpose of the Special Pensions Amendment Bill 2026 to amend the Act accordingly and align the provisions in the Act with the current implementation practices. This we support. The next slide. I am not going to get into the objects of the bill because the chairperson has explained them, but we support them from A to I. As a Mawiga Veterans League branch, we support them. Next slide, please. Number 3, the clause by clause analysis. Again, these are contained in the amendment bill. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of everything here because it is there. I'm just going to emphasize, as noted, clause 1 protects pensioners from losing their special pensions that were determined before 31st December 2006 due to lapse provisions of the Act. And clause 2 substitutes 2001 with 1995 to backdate the 30-year-old's pensions start date to 1995 to align it with the 35-year-olds so that they are not unjustly disadvantaged. Lastly, the clause 2 as well allows a person who qualifies for a benefit under different parts of the Act to be granted the greater benefit. This we welcome. Next slide, please, Alan. 3.3, Clause 3. This seeks to repeal Section 6B of the Act, and the information is there on the slide, and I believe everyone can see it. I'm just going to read the next bullet. As noted, Clause 3 ensures that a surviving spouse or a dependent qualifies for a survivor's lump sum, even if they already have their own special pension. And I think this is due to the observation by National Treasury that the spouses and the dependents should not justly get, they should get the lump sum that is due to them, that they qualify for. In Clause 4, this gives the rights to a surviving spouse or dependent, if there is no spouse, to be given the survivor's lump sum. Thank you, and let's go to the next slides. Clause 5 and 6. Clause 5 replaces orphan with dependent to enable all children of the deceased to access, to enable all children of the deceased veteran to get an equal monthly benefits without considering whether their mother is alive or not, rich or indigent, or whether the parents were married or not. A child is a child, and if they're dependent on the late veteran, they should not be disadvantaged. They should get what they deserve. Often is restrictive as it refers to a child with both parents dead. But we know that the child, the child can have one of the parents, but you find that they are indigent and they can't fend for all the family members. Clause 5 includes all children as dependents and not orphans alone. This is very important for all the children and the dependents of the late veteran or the pensioner to be included and to benefit from the special pensions. Next slide, please. As noted, this clause introduces a funeral benefit which will alleviate the plight of families in case of death of the veteran or beneficiaries. We have seen families of veterans struggling to bury veterans or their beneficiaries because funeral costs are very high. Next slide, please. We also support clause 8 and 9 for condonation. As noted, clause 8 condones late applications. For most of the veterans may not have even heard of the closing date, and they get excluded just because of technicalities. As well as clause 9 condones late appeals. They may not have heard of this, and that could be the reason why they did not even appeal. And even the knowledge, the know-how, they need help. Hence, we are very happy to have this special pensions bill that accommodate all the late veterans and their beneficiaries. Thank you. Let's go to the next one. Clause 10 and 11. Clause 10 guarantees that all dependents of the veterans should qualify for the benefits. And this should not be whether a surviving parent is wealthy is indigent or whether she's deceased or alive, all dependents should qualify. And clause 11 guarantees that all dependent children of veterans qualify and not just orphans. We have already heard that orphans is very restrictive, and this new bill deleted orphans. Okay. Let's go on, please. Clause number 12. This enables designated institutions to reconsider wrong decisions. So this is also good if the designated institution realizes that a wrong decision that disadvantages the veteran or the beneficiaries has been taken, they can go back and change, at the best interest of the veteran and the beneficiaries. Thank you. We can go to the next slide. Clause 13 is about the definitions, the spouse that also qualifies, and the dependents that qualifies, and the orphan that has been deleted because it's very restrictive and looks at issues in a very myopic way. And lastly, clause 14 is the name of the bill, which is the Special Pensions Amendment Act 2006, which we also support. Can we go to the next slide? This slide is about the resolutions of the ANC that we came across, and we have gone through these resolutions that the ANC has discussed in the past and adopted to improve the conditions of life of military veterans, as well as other measures to address their situation. And given that these have not been fully implemented, and therefore 37, I think it has been realized. So 38, that the special pension of military veterans be subjected to a specially crafted tax system. The previous speakers have alluded to this. 39, that the non-statutory forces should also be accommodated, which we support. That military veterans and members of the SNDF should also be allowed to travel like the subs, free of charge on public transport, that the age limit of 35 should be looked into, that the MKMVA must participate in the NEC Peace and Stability Subcommittee. We support this because we also believe they've got valuable information to share, that the Military Veterans Affairs Act, this one should be amended so as to accommodate the non-statutory forces, that a transformed and all-embracing SANMVA should be the official representative body of all South African military veterans as soon as the said Military Veterans Affairs Act has been amended. We support this. And the next one, 45, is on skills training and recognition of skills that were acquired outside the country. We support this so that they can also be able to be self-sufficient, and that the ministry should reserve RDP houses for military veterans, and the establishment of a medical aid. We support all the ANC resolutions. Next slide, please. Our recommendations are as follows. The Portfolio Committee on Finance to adopt clauses 1 to 14 of published Government Gazette 54292 and the resolution of the ANC above from 36 to 47 speedily, so as to make redress of the situation. that the Department of Military Veterans should embark on public awareness and education in all provinces as soon as the Act is passed to create awareness amongst veterans and beneficiaries, as well as the public. And as the Veterans League, we will also get involved. The reason being that nobody who is qualifying should be left behind. Next slide, please. In conclusion, we view the Special Pensions Amendment Bill as a progressive and vital tool to alleviate the financial burden faced by veterans, their spouses, and dependents, whilst honoring the sacrifices that they made towards our democracy. As noted earlier, this bill aligns with the purpose of the Act. We support its adoption, and then we urge that this should be done speedily and implemented to improve the lives of the veterans and their beneficiaries. Thank you for this valuable opportunity and for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mawiga. The next stakeholder, let's go back to the agenda. Manana Susan Sevilla, Comrade Susan. Comrade Susan, are you there?
I don't think she's on the platform, Chair. I'll make a follow-up with her.
Okay. Let's keep her. We'll come back to her. The next stakeholder, the eighth stakeholder. Iotov.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Maswangani, thank you very much for affording us an opportunity to present. My name is Stanley Wanyane, is my surname. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Each One Teach One Foundation. We represent here a generation of young lions from the inception of COSAS in 1979 until 1990. Amongst our membership, we have military veterans, activists, underground operatives, couriers, political prisoners, exiles, and many others who brought liberation to this country. It's a known fact that many of our members made enormous sacrifices during the liberation struggle, very often at great personal cost. They endured imprisonment, torture, detention, without trial, exile, death, loss of educational opportunities, loss of employment, physical injuries, psychological trauma, and disruption to their family lives. And because of this, we have no doubt that the democratic state has a moral and constitutional obligation to ensure that those comrades who sacrificed for this freedom are treated with dignity, and that none of them who are deserving is excluded from receiving benefits intended by the Special Pensions Act. Colleagues, while we support the objectives of this amendment bill, we maintain that additional reforms are necessary to address historical injustices that continue to affect many veterans and former activists. The liberation struggle, colleagues, we all know, was not fought solely by individuals carrying weapons, but was sustained by thousands of ordinary South Africans who performed critical support functions. Comrades who served in the underground in intelligence gathering, the couriers and messengers, those who manned the safe houses, the political educators, community organizers, the students activists, trade union activists, political prisoners themselves, the exiles, and even family members who provided logistical support. And many of these individuals never received recognition equivalent to the sacrifices they made. And yes, it is a well-known fact that in many cases they possess very little documentary evidence because their activities were intentionally concealed for security reasons. Consequently, a significant number of those who are deserving have been excluded from any benefits. The Each One Teach One Foundation support the amendment bill relating to one, the retention of previously determined benefits, two, the payment of greater benefits where an individual qualifies under multiple categories, three, survivor lump sum benefits, four, funeral benefits, five, condonation of late applications, and six, the reconsideration of determinations. These key provisions in the bill, Dr. Maswangani, are very positive steps towards ensuring fairness and administrative justice. While that is the case, we must raise the key concerns and recommendations the foundation is making. One, on the reopening of the special pensions application process, which is our most important recommendation. We maintain that thousands of former activists and veterans never applied for benefits in terms of the Special Pensions Act because of a multiplicity of reasons. They could have been unaware of the program. Some lacked access to information at the time. They lived in townships and others in rural areas. Others lacked supporting documents. Others were physically incapacitated. Others were suffering from trauma and ill health. And of course, others, which is quite often in most cases, distrusted government processes. And others believed that they did not qualify. By just believing that they did not qualify, so did not apply for these benefits. And yes, many have since died without receiving this recognition from our democratic state that they have helped to create. And now in the face of that, the Each One Teach One Foundation recommends that Parliament should authorize a once-off reopening of special pension applications for a period of 6 months. It's not it's not cast in stone. And this process should be accompanied by a national awareness campaign. We know that government has been very poor. In fact, many institutions of the state have been very poor in reaching out to communities on initiatives that are taken. On the recognition of alternative forms of evidence, the burden of proof has always remained a major obstacle. Many underground operatives, for example, deliberately avoided creating records to protect activists from arrest, from torture and assassination. And as a result, many of them, genuine veterans, could not provide formal documentation. And we therefore recommend that the Act should explicitly recognize sworn affidavits, one, two, testimonies from former commanders, from former leaders, and testimonies from genuine veterans organizations, testimonies from community verification processes, your Truth and Reconciliation Commission records, any historical research records, the court records and detention records, exile and refugee documentation. So what we are saying is that Parliament should adopt a balanced evidentiary approach. Let me emphasize that. A balanced evidentiary approach that reflects the realities of our liberation struggle. On the recognition of political prisoners and detainees, we know that many political prisoners sacrificed years of their lives in detention and imprisonment, and their incarceration interrupted their education, their employment, their career development, family responsibilities, and the long-term consequences continue to affect them even today. We therefore recommend that the amendment bill should provide enhanced recognition and consideration for former political prisoners, for those who were detained without trial, for individuals who were subjected to banning orders, to individuals subjected to state harassment and persecution. On the recognition of underground operatives and couriers, we know that they played a crucial role in the struggle. They transported information, resources, personnel, and intelligence, and many risked imprisonment or death. Yet many remain excluded because their activities were not publicly documented. We recommend, as the Each One Teach One Foundation, therefore, that Parliament should establish clear guidelines for recognizing underground operatives and couriers through corroborative evidence and witness testimony. On the issue of survivor and dependent benefits, many veterans and activists have passed on due to age and illness, and yes, their surviving spouses and dependents often continue to face severe economic hardship. In that instance, we recommend that the bill should ensure, one, that spouses are not disadvantaged because claims were still under consideration.
How are you?
When the applicant died. Two, that customary marriages should be fully recognized. Three, that dependents with disabilities receive enhanced protection. And four, that survivor benefits are processed urgently. On the matter of funeral benefits, the Each One Teach One Foundation welcomes the introduction of this. We do so because many families of struggle veterans are unable to afford dignified funerals. We recommend the following: that benefits should be, one, inflation linked, two, be processed within strict timelines, three, be simple to access. We must cut out the red tape. Be available regardless of where the beneficiary resides. We recommend, Chairperson, that there be an establishment of a veterans verification and advisory panel to address historical disputes and missing records. We propose the establishment of this panel, which should include military veterans, former liberation movement representatives, government representatives, and even pension specialists. Because this panel would assist with verification, with reviewing difficult cases, with providing advisory opinions, and helping preserve historical records. On the matter of administrative reform and accessibility, we know that many elderly beneficiaries face barriers when dealing with government institutions. And we recommend that government should, one, digitize all records, two, establish a toll-free support line, three, create provincial outreach offices, four, conduct mobile registration campaigns, six, provide services in all official languages, and seven, establish dedicated veteran service desks. No elderly veteran should be required to travel long distances to pursue a rightful claim, which is the case today with a department like the DMV. On the matter of restorative justice and nation building, the special pensions are not merely financial benefits, comrades. They are instruments of historical recognition. They are part of restorative justice. They contribute to national healing, to nation building, and constitutional redress. Our democracy was achieved through the sacrifices of countless individuals whose names may never appear in history books. The state must therefore adopt a compassionate and inclusive approach when assessing claims. Any narrow administrative interpretation risks excluding those who sacrificed the most. In our conclusion, Chairperson, the Each One Teach One Foundation supports, just like everybody else who presented before us, the Special Pensions Amendment Bill, but respectfully urges Parliament to strengthen the legislation through 1, reopening special pension applications, 2, recognizing alternative forms of evidence. You'll realize I'm emphasizing this. 3, enhancing recognition of military veterans. 4, enhancing recognition of underground operatives. 5, enhancing recognition of political prisoners and detainees. 6, improving survivor and dependent protection. 7, establishing a veterans verification and advisory panel. And 8, improving administrative accessibility. So our country, this democracy, owes a lasting debt to those who sacrifice their youth, their careers, their freedom, their safety, and family life in pursuit of the benefits we enjoy as a nation. The special pensions framework should reflect not only legal compliance, but also the spirit of justice, of gratitude, and national reconciliation upon which our constitutional order is founded. And let me conclude, colleagues, by reminding you that a nation that remembers its liberators honors its own freedom. Thank you very much.
Thanks, each one, Comrade Stanley. Go back to the agenda, Alan. Who's next? Olive Cock Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members, and everybody on the platform. I am Olive Cock Oliver in Cape Town. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in today's contribution on the Special Pension Amendment Bill. I am a beneficiary of the 1996 deadline December applications, and I received my special pension from December 2012. Thank you. My point that I want to raise this morning, and on my slide, I specifically look at records that is available, like the ex-political prisoners, detainees files, all these records, it is available for anybody to access. I took specifically the point from the document from the proposed bill, subject of the bill 2B, allow persons who qualify for more than one benefit to be granted the greater benefit. And I want to share why I decided on that point. The special pension beneficiaries did not earn their special pension through age, because in 1996 there was an age restriction, and that is how I able to qualify at the age of 35. But when we look at where we are today, it really took me 16 years, and in that process, many of our comrades has passed on, many has submitted for the special pension, but was rejected. I'm going to why clause 2B should be reconsidered. The special pension is not a social grant. It is a recognition of sacrifices made in the struggle for democracy and freedom. Treating the special pension as interchangeable with other benefits may reduce the overall support available to people, undermine the original intention of the Special Pension Act, and leave elderly people with their dependents financially vulnerable. The special pensions beneficiary should not be worse off because they qualify for more than one legitimate benefit. Now, if you go and look at alternatives, solutions that Parliament can consider, I propose pay the special pension, pay a full special pension plus 50% of the lesser benefit instead of paying only the higher benefit. The formula, full special pension plus 50% of the second qualifying benefit. The advantages recognizes special pension beneficiaries' sacrifices, provides meaningful financial relief, prevent duplication while still duplication in the process. The other point also that I would like Parliament to consider and the special pension exception, the special pension shall not be granted as a social assistance benefit and may be received in addition other qualifying state benefits like your SASSA grant, your disability grant, your survivor benefits, and so on. I want this committee also to take in account that where a special beneficiary qualifies for more than one government payment, the special pension beneficiary must get the full benefit. At the current state, we know that so many of us apply for special pension. They receive special pension acknowledgement, but they were declined, rejected in the system. We have got comrades with false numbers up till today. They are still waiting to get special pensions. And the list is I can continue the whole day if I had to go on this issue. The last point I want to raise is the means test, a top-up. Special pension beneficiaries receiving a higher benefit could receive a top-up where the household income falls below the subscribed threshold. Chairperson and honorable members and everybody on the platform, the special pension shall be regarded as recognition benefit for service rendered in the struggle for democracy and freedom, and shall not disqualify a beneficiary from receiving any other lawful social assistance or survivor benefit for which they qualify. I thank you.
Thank you, Oliver, for your presentation. Back to the agenda. The next stakeholder.
Chair, I've managed to get in contact with Ms. Sibia, and she is currently on the platform, Chair.
Okay. Manana Susan Sibia, over to you, 10 minutes. Comrade Susan, can you hear us? Is she muted or what's the problem?
I've just asked her to unmute, Chair. She did explain to me that she's got electricity challenges and she's in and out of Wi-Fi. So it's probably the case again.
Comrade Susan, can you hear me? Okay. Let's go to the next stakeholder. We'll go back to her later. Kosato.
Joe? Chair, sorry.
Comrade Susan, can you hear us from this side?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just having a serious challenge of network, you know, the village life.
Okay, no problem. You are welcome. You have got 10 minutes to make a presentation. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, everybody. I've sent my presentation to the Secretary of the Standing Committee. My name, if I may just introduce myself, my name is Susan Sibiya. I stay in Maatlani village in Collins Chabani municipality under the Wembe district. Chairperson, I'll be speaking on behalf of a lot of young women or women who are now veterans who had been left out, who have not been benefiting from the special pension fund that is given to veterans of the liberation struggle. May I from the onset commend and appreciate the opportunity afforded to the veterans, me in particular, to make this presentation to this important standing committee on finance about the unfortunate situation affecting most of the former members of the liberation struggle who sacrificed, dedicated their youth and their lives, some of them their jobs, and fought and chose to fight the system that was declared as a crime against humanity by the United Nations. I cite the undertaking or pronouncement by the United Nations in an attempt, Chair, to appeal or to remind ourselves, Chair and the committee, the extent to which the system of apartheid was viewed by the international community and progressive people of the world, who were mobilized and joined forces in solidarity with the people of South Africa to wage a just struggle for liberation. To this effect, a lot of young women, young men had to leave their homes and their countries to go and seek training, to go and seek assistance to prepare themselves properly to face the might of the then government of apartheid. We know there were persecutions, and those who chose to stand against the system of apartheid were ostracized, marginalized, harassed, some of them imprisoned, many lost their lives, others were operating underground, and others were exiled. And there are those who up to this day have not been accounted for. They disappeared in peculiar and unknown circumstances. If I may be allowed, Chair, I would make this comment that, Chair, I believe that the Standing Committee members are well positioned and are able to attest to the most of these injustices of the past, which were brutally meted on the people. And you will agree with me that our focus and purpose at this juncture should be that of reversing some of the negative effects and affording all that rightfully qualify to receive recourse accordingly. A noble and a first step towards reinstating dignity to families which have lost out on being reliable and trusted providers for their homes. providers to their families. The Special Pensions Act Amendment Bill referred to SB 8 of 2006. This bill should provide for the broader inclusion of the activists of the mass democratic movement, militarily, unionists, and women. I've already spoken to the point about the women, so I won't elaborate on that one, Chairperson. It's our belief that government must be responsible for providing or improving lives of all deserving beneficiaries and their dependents. By amending the Act, veterans and their dependents will be steered towards economic mainstream and will be able to be in charge of their well-being and their destinies. The state has a paramount task to improve the quality of life of all its citizens and struggle veterans with their families included. Because these are people who sacrificed their lives, security, and lost their freedom. In the modern society, Chair, conditions are more complex and include profound social contradictions. We know for those who came out of prison, or those who came out of exile, or those who were operating, that they missed out a lot on on social empowerment. Because if you may use an example of the cut-off date of 1996, that those who were 36 by 1996 could not qualify, and then compare to those of the same age who were already operating inside the country or were employed, you will agree with me, Chair, that the two economically will not be at the same financial standing as we speak. So the struggle for freedom was waged to negate this factor, Chairperson. Unfortunately, some of the struggle veterans have been excluded and are living under immense poverty, some under serious diseases and lack of proper housing. A recommendation there. The Government Pensions Administration should provide and give assistance to families and offsprings of the deceased veterans accordingly. If possible, we recommend that the Special Pensions Fund Board could be reinstated or established. I would concur with the recommendations that has been given by Each One Teach One as presented. We need to expedite the process of passing the Special Pensions Act bill in an attempt to reinstate the well-being of these veterans as we speak. In conclusion, it is my wish and hope that Section 9, 10, and 27 of the Constitution of the country that speaks to the human rights will indeed benefit all that qualify, and that our lives at least will be changed for the better. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Comrade Susan, for the presentation. And then Each One Teach One, did you email your submission? Because you were making an oral submission without...
Dr. Masongani, we did.
Okay, if you have done that, thanks. Let's move to Kosato.
Morning, Comrade Chair, morning, Honorable Chair, morning, members. Let me just share my presentation quickly. I think also, Chair, one wants to greet, I saw many distinguished veterans in the attendance today. I think, Chair, you have one of your highest attendance ever, with about 160 persons attending, including very distinguished comrades, be it Bridget Mabantla or Dan Haito. So I think it really shows you how important this bill is, Chair, to many comrades and families who really spent their life in service for the country. I think to say as COSATU, look, we support this bill. We support the Special Pensions Act precisely because we want to build a caring society, and a society which is caring has to take care of its pensioners, its elderly, those who've made a sacrifice, have gone to prison, to exile, families who have lost loved ones, etc. And so, if we want to be that caring society, then we must really take care of the elderly, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifices for the country. And so, Chair, I think just to kind of say, our premise for support as COSATU for the bill and for the act is that it is a progressive intervention 96 to really seek to provide some sort of redress for thousands of South Africans who sacrificed their youth, who sacrificed the opportunity to have a career, to save for a pension fund, in the cause for liberation and for democracy that we all enjoy today. And obviously, Chair, if you had been in exile for 30 years, if you had been in Pollsmoor or Robben Island for decades, you had no chance to save a pension. So this is a correct progressive intervention. Many could not, enter formal employment, could not contribute to pension funds, and this places them at a real disadvantage compared to the rest of society, which was able to enjoy those opportunities. And so, Chair, I think also this bill is progressive, is long overdue, and really seeks to kind of, I think, bring the Special Pension Act up to date with other amendments SCOF has made over the years to other pension laws. There's always tweaks we have to do every now and then, whether it's on issues of marriage or dependence, etc., etc. So I think this bill really seeks to align it with those same provisions for other pension funds. And we think also that this bill is quite important because it really seeks to ensure special pension fund recipients receive the benefits which are due to them, such as funeral cover, also that in the event of their passing, which is obviously inevitable as part of the cycle of life, that their spouses or partners, whichever marital regime they may have chosen, and the dependents, the children, continue to receive those benefits which are due whilst they've passed away. And so we think this bill is going to go a long way towards restoring dignity to those who have given everything to South Africa's freedom, but were obviously denied because of historical circumstances, because of apartheid, etc., a chance to provide for themselves in their old age. Chair, I think we want to support with regards to the clause enabling reconsideration of late applications. We will support that, as well as appeals where just cause is shown. Obviously, there must be a motivation, but I think it's important to have that deeming provision. And I think, Chair, as other speakers have indicated, 1996, when this act came into effect, many persons were not aware of it. May have lived in rural areas, lived in townships. Chair, that time, internet access was a very limited thing. We did not have all these smartphones. Access to information was quite limited. But also many of the applicants would have recently returned from exile, from prison, from the underground, etc., and just simply not aware of it. And Chair, also to bear in mind that South Africa's liberation struggle was a mass struggle. It wasn't just a question of a few individuals, but millions of persons were involved in different degrees. Some, Chair, were also a little bit traumatized, and many, Chair, I think, as other presenters indicated, wouldn't have had the documents to prove their service. So it's a question of tracing witnesses, etc., or providing eyewitness testimony and so forth. But Chair, I think the point is we think to penalize them permanently for missing what is essentially an administrative deadline, we believe that would be unjust. So, Chair, we do think it is correct to allow late applications on good cause. This ensures administrative fairness. It gives effect to the remedial purpose of the Act. It also recognizes the real conditions in which many veterans live and still do live. And Chair, I think, speaking to that as well, the provisions empowering government to reconsider earlier denials of special pension fund applications upon submission of new information or motivations is also critical. It speaks to, to the administrative part of the equation. We do know that inevitably there will be applicants who are incorrectly denied because of incomplete records, lost documents, perhaps with overtly rigid interpretation of certain criteria. People fall through the cracks. You see it in other departments, whether it's SARS or Home Affairs. So there is a need to have some sort of appeals mechanism. And I think a lot of colleagues had mentioned earlier, Chair, by the nature of the party regime, liberation movements will not keep neat personnel files, etc. People were underground, they were scattered across countries, etc. They were in prison and so forth. So the state must have some discretionary powers to correct mistakes where there's new evidence or new applications, etc. And I think, Chair, this will really help to ensure those who are wrongly excluded are not abandoned by the very democracy that they helped and sacrificed to achieve. Chair, I think with regards to the clauses supporting pension fund members receiving funeral benefits when they pass away, we think that is correct. It's similar to benefits provided by GPF to their members. And of course, the right to be buried with dignity is critical. Many of our pensioners live in absolute poverty, whether it's in Kukuletu or whether it's in a village in Mpopo. Their families shouldn't have to incur debt or resort to pauper's burials when the spouse passes away. And Chair, it makes sense to simply align funeral benefits with that which is provided by the GPF. It's equitable. It also affirms, Chair, the state value. So the state values the contribution these stalwart veterans have made. And it, of course, it'll give some relief to families in the moment of grief. On the issue of the marital regimes, again, this for us, it's a no-brainer. Parliament has amended in the Home Affairs Portfolio Committee quite a few times, tweaks around marital recognition, recognizing we have a variety of marital regimes, be it religious, be it civic, be it customary, etc., and the issues of marriages and community property. So this makes sense. It recognizes the cultural realities and the diversity of marital regimes. And again, Chair, the liberation struggle cut across all communities and cultures. So we should not be overtly strict. And, the law has evolved significantly since 1996. It's become much more progressive and inclusive, recognizing our cultural diversity. And so it makes sense for this law to be updated as well. And again, Chair, if we exclude spouses because the marriage wasn't recognized under civil law, that would be discriminatory. It would be unconstitutional. And again, Chair, this is key to ensuring all spouses and life partners are recognized, are protected, and that's a requirement for the Constitution and also in line with existing pension law. Chair, with regards to dependents, again, we think the clauses here are progressive. They're common sense, and they speak to all the other amendments we've done to pension and marital laws over the past few years at Parliament. We make sure that spouses and partners or dependents continue to receive benefits after the member's death. Then we recognize that children may still continue studying beyond 18 years, and there should be support for them up to the age of 23 years. It would be unfair to cut the child simply because they reach 18, yet that child remains a financial dependent, which is the case in many, if not most, of South African families, especially when we seek to empower young people not to rush into the labor market, but rather to go and equip themselves with the skills and qualifications they need to find decent work and permanent work and support their parents in their retirement, etc. And again, Chair, this is in line with the GPF laws and ensures dependents won't be left destitute upon the passing of the member. So I think, Chair, just in conclusion, as COSATU, we support this bill. We think there's no reason not to support it. It's going to give significant and positive relief to veterans incorrectly who were denied. It's going to ensure members and spouses, the partners, the dependents are covered. Members can be buried with dignity. And I think, Chair, to make one point, one appreciates that Parliament does take some time to pass laws correctly. On average 2 years, 3 years or so. But in this instance, Chair, we'd want to motivate for this bill to be expedited because we're dealing with persons who are elderly. And every month people will pass away given the cycle of life. But every month that there's delays mean more pass away without receiving the help they would have been entitled to, despite their sacrifices for the country. And of course, Chair, justice delayed is justice denied. So I think, Chair, as much as Parliament can expedite this bill, we would encourage it to do so. So if Parliament can conclude it before Parliament rises in December this year, that could enable the President to sign it into law, we would hope, by SONA next year. So this could come into effect in 2027. We think, Chair, it would be wrong to delay it. And we know members of SCOF are amongst the hardest working members in Parliament. So we're very confident, Chair, that members of SCOF would appreciate this bill and would work fast to make sure it passes quickly. So, Chair, that's our presentation. Hopefully we stuck to the timeframes, and thanks, Chair and members, for giving COSATU space to support this progressive bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Comrade Matthews, on behalf of COSATU. Back to the agenda, Alan, the next stakeholder. Thamsanqa Moses Msichana.
Chair, I don't know if he's since joined, but I have not seen him on the platform, Chair.
Okay. And the ANC Mirafong sub-region is not here?
No, Chair.
Okay. So it means now we'll have to go to the item of members of the committee engaging the presentations. Honorable members, there you are. Questions, comments on the second set of presentations. Over to you. Honorable Squati, Honorable Van Rooyen.
Thanks, Chair. And once again, Chair, thanks for affording us this opportunity to have an interaction with stakeholders. And once again, thank you to the stakeholders for having made an effort to come and make their presentations to SCOF, but also it shows the determination and commitment that stakeholders have in terms of making sure that they are able to bring about relief to those that have sacrificed their lives to the cause of this freedom that today we are enjoying. And I think, Chair, most of the submissions that have been raised, it actually says that everyone is eager for us as SCOF to make sure that indeed this bill is passed through to its ultimate conclusion, and make sure that the beneficiaries are able to, without a waste of time, be able to benefit. And I was just raising my hand to really thank the stakeholders, because I think it was just more on emphasis on what have been raised before. And I think particularly if you listen to what COSATU was saying in terms of the areas that have been emphasized, and it's what has actually been raised, but it was put on as emphasized as it's coming to restoration of dignity, independence, and so on. Mesibia as well, raising the issue in terms of particularly with emphasis on women and the dependence of those that passed on who had contributed. I mean, it tells a story, particularly because we know that women in rural areas, most of them and majority of them do not necessarily have that access to information. Even when communication tools have been improved so much, but you still have those that are really, really far behind in terms of access to technology and so on, and to make sure that we are continuously able to make sure that this bill is able to bring relief. So I just wanted to say that we acknowledge the contributions that they are actually making on behalf of the majority of those that still remains behind in terms of making sure that they are able to get what they're supposed to be getting in terms of benefits. Thanks, you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Scotty. Honorable Van Rey.
But also allow me to welcome the presentations, which I think, as cited by Honorable Squati, somehow there is a reiteration or maybe an element of complementing presentations that have already been made, in a way concurring with all the submissions that were made earlier. Mine is just a humble plea, Chair. I know you might cover this in your closing remarks. We have noted with concern that most of stakeholders seems not to be thorough in following up on the acceptance or non-acceptance of their proposals by the Parliament Committee. In some cases, not the Parliament Committee, the Parliament itself as a body meant to represent them. And also, they are also not taking keen interest on the response from the key stakeholder in this process, which is a national treasury. Now, my plea is that to all stakeholders, please, let's make sure that we follow on this process. We follow it up to its logical conclusion. I'm raising this, Chair, because firstly, we are all aware that there is a serious contestation for the fiscus. And unfortunately, the principles guiding the current national treasury are that of austerity and a fiscal consolidation. So definitely for us as a committee, or maybe for all the submission made by stakeholders to see the end of the day, is going to be a serious tall order. Compounding that is the fact that, as you can see, even if you are to categorize the attendance of members of parliament to this matter, you realize that it's a bit political or ideologically aligned, if not class aligned. Then it will tell you that most of those who are participating in parliament might not necessarily be in agreement with some of the submissions made by stakeholders. So it will be of interest to stakeholders to note whom of the participants in parliament are in agreement or not in agreement. There are reasons not to be in agreement or in agreement with some of their submissions. So I'm pleading with all stakeholders, please your submission shouldn't be the end of your participation. If you are invited to come and get feedback from National Treasury, please honor that, so as you understand the view of National Treasury on your submissions. That's my humble plea, but also follow up on the debates that will be taking place and the productive process that we will be taking as Parliament, to conclude on this important bill. You know, it will be of interest for you to understand, the reasons behind supporting or not supporting this bill, which shall definitely be coming from certain members of the Parliament. And I must indicate that it will be definitely be coming mainly from members of the current constituted or so-called government of national interest. Because as you can see in the attendance, most of them are not taking keen interest on this matter. So that's my plea. My plea is that please, let's be thorough in terms of following up on this matter on behalf of our constituents, more especially military veterans and their dependents. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable van Rooyen. Before we make closing remarks, Alan, are there announcements?
No announcements as such, Chair, but just to indicate that this is the last meeting of the committee for this term. It is constituency period from the 29th of June until the 3rd of August. The committee program for the third term, we will hopefully by the end of this week send it to you and members, Chair. Thank you. Or at least the draft program. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Where's the video? Okay. Let me get me. Okay, there we are. I seem to be having a challenge of a video from my side. Okay. Thanks very much, honorable members. And let me also thank the stakeholders and amongst others, let me acknowledge the presence of the former minister, Mayor Bridget Mabandla, who's here in the platform. And let me thank all the stakeholders who have made submissions, the veterans. We acknowledge what you have submitted, President Zikalala and your colleagues, ex-political prisoners, ex-political detainees, the Young Lions. I see my former president, Comrade Lulu Johnson, is here on the platform. You are welcome, President, ex-combatants, and all the categories that are affected by this bill. Thanks very much for your oral and written submissions. As indicated by Honour Comrade Matthew Parks, this is one of the public hearings that has been highly attended. And by so doing, it makes a strong case to Parliament that we have made sure as a committee that there is what we call adequate public participation. Because if there are very few people who attend and few submissions, somebody will take you to court and say there was no adequate public participation. So we'll plead with you, even those who made oral submissions, that let's also have your written submissions. It assists in terms of parliamentary records that when a bill was processed, these were the submissions coming from relevant stakeholders. This is a very important bill because the state is essentially settling a debt and not giving a charity. Because justice matters. The repair for stolen time, people have spent many years in prisons, exile, full-time underground, ex-combatants, doing the work to liberate the country. And during that time, they could not get formal jobs, no UIF contributions. There was no pension to build. They had no property to buy. They were denied studies, no asset for retirement. While others were building careers, they were building democracy. So the special pension is the state saying, we took those years from you for the country. We'll replace the security you lost. Without it, they will retire into poverty through no fault of their own. It is about dignity. Calling it a special pension instead of a welfare matters a lot. It frames them as contributors, not as dependents. For veterans, ex-political prisoners, detainees labeled as terrorists under apartheid, the state recognition flips the story that your sacrifice was lawful, moral, and necessary for the new South Africa. That recognition heals the stigma. We know that money alone can't do that. Democracy survives if people believe the sacrifices were worth it. If veterans end up destitute, the message that we're giving to the society is fighting for freedom leaves you broke. That breaks trust between citizens and the state. Paying pensions tells the current and the future generations that the state honors its obligations, even hard ones. It is nation building through action, not just speeches. It prevents intergenerational poverty. Many veterans had children in exile or while unemployed. Without a pension, the whole family stays poor. So the 206 amendment, for instance, added the spouse and an orphan pensions because the state realized the cost of struggle is paid by families, not just individuals. Pensions stop that poverty from being passed down. Of course, now we are changing or looking at amending the word orphan with a dependent. It is about the moral leadership for the state. The constitutions talk about reconciliation and restorative justice, but words are cheap. A pension is a budget line that proves the values are real. It shows the state will take responsibility for the damage of the past, even when it is expensive. That sets the tone for how the state treats other vulnerable groups. So we know that it won't come cheap, but the freedom also didn't come cheap. People had sacrificed their lives for us to be where we are today. So from here, in terms of the parliamentary process, now that you have made submissions, the committee will sit, will convene, and consider your submissions, compile a report. Alan and your colleagues, let's make sure that in the meeting where we are going to consider the report, we invite the Department of Defense and military veterans, because there are cross-cutting issues or transversal issues between this bill and the act that they are managing on the other side I think it's a 2011 Act. So if they can attend the next meeting, they will add a lot of value. Lots of issues have been raised here, including definitions, where to get records and stuff like that. So let's invite them in time, the time we decide as to when is our next meeting. Of course, officials from National Treasury and SARS are here in the platform. They will be there to assist us to process the bill. From there, we are going to adopt the report and take it to the National Assembly for debate and adoption. This is a Section 75 bill, so it's not affecting provinces, in my understanding, unless if we are advised otherwise by the legal team. But for now, I think our understanding is that pensions is not a concurrent issue. It's an exclusive national competence. So the bill is not supposed to go to NCOP, but subject to corrections. So that's how this bill is going to be processed. And then after the bill will have been passed by Parliament, it will be sent to the President for assent. So thanks very much, members, stakeholders, media, the public in general, the support team, and everybody who has attended this important meeting to look at a very serious matter that is affecting those who have fought for the freedom of this country. It is done everywhere that after struggle, veterans have to be honored. You can look at case studies of many, many countries, and we can't be an exception. And I think what we should do, stakeholders, because that is not going to be our responsibility as Parliament. It will be your responsibility with National Treasury and the Military and Veterans Department, is to assist those who couldn't make it on the last rounds of applications, who were left out with information. The other time I attended a meeting last week where there were stakeholders who wanted me to explain to them the contents of the bill. They were saying that they are staying very far from Kimberley. It was comrades from Northern Cape. And sometimes information takes a long time to reach them. You know how vast is the Northern Cape? Northern Cape is like a country on its own. In between, you can travel more than 1,000 kilometers. So such people should not be left out because of the distance, unlike people who stay in a small province like Gauteng, but highly populated, with all platforms for sharing information. So let's reach out to potential beneficiaries in the outlying areas of Northern Cape, Limpopo, and Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal to assist them to compile applications proper to be submitted to the board. So that will not be our responsibility. It will be at an executive level. But we know that most couldn't make it last time because they had no document to submit, but information can be found somewhere else. So that's what we are pleading with you. So thanks very much, colleagues. The meeting is adjourned. We will meet again, I think, in August, probably when we come back. And if ever there are other matters that are important, we'll meet even before that. But from now, we'll start considering and compiling the report on these submissions from the public. Thanks very much. The meeting is officially closed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maswanganyi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the staff.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chairman,
you.
and thank you, Dr. Joe Masravani. God bless you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Joe. Thank you.
Recording stopped.